Well, hello and welcome to the Junk to Jewels podcast with Georgette Beck. You're either watching the video on YouTube or you are listening. Thank you so much. It means the world. So I have a special person here today, Caryn Treister. I met through the Go Get a Girl Network here in our area in Treasure Coast, Florida. Is amazing. And I also had the great pleasure of listening to her give a presentation at a women's empowerment event, most recently here in Fort Pierce, Florida. So I am excited for her to share what she's learned along her life journey with you today. But let me officially introduce her to you. Her name is Caryn Treister. And for over 30 years, she has dedicated herself to empowering women. First in the wellness field, helping them build strength and vitality through fitness and nutrition. And now as a transformational mindset coach and a motivational speaker, she guides women to cultivate unshakable confidence, power, and purpose. And as the CEO and founder of Never Settle Life Coaching and creator of the Confidence Ignited Method, Caryn works with women that are ready for clarity, confidence, and action. She helps her women break free from self-doubt. I struggled with that a long time. That's crucial. And she helps them embrace their worth. And she creates a life they love with them, whether in business or personal life. So her unique approach blends proven mindset techniques, the NLP and transformational coaching to help women unlock their full potential. If you're ready to shift your perspective, elevate your energy, and step into your power, Caryn is here to guide you every step of the way. And so she's going to start by sharing with us her life journey. Caryn Treister, welcome to Junk to Jewels podcast. Thank you so much for being a guest with us today.
Thank you, Georgette. I really appreciate being here. And I love what you do. I love how you have women share their junk because it helps so many women and makes such a difference. So I certainly did. And let's see, where do we even begin?
Well, I always love to know behind the scenes stuff. So where are you from, Caryn? And tell us a little bit about your family, your upbringing, and just kind of walk us through your life journey through the different seasons of life as a little girl to the teenager to where you are today. So where are you from?
So I'm from the Northeast. I'm from New Hampshire, specifically. Okay. That's where I grew up. And I had 4 other siblings. So it was a pretty big family.
Oh,
yeah. And I had, of course, I think we all think a normal life. And in retrospect, of course, it was pretty dysfunctional. And
I can understand. It makes it interesting, that's for sure. And it kind of guides us on our path. So I love it.
It gives us character. That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, but I didn't know any of that at that point. And however, I did know I had something where I had a lot of resistance with my mom. And I didn't know exactly why, but I just knew that she was kind of depressed a lot and just very negative.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I really was ready to leave at that point when I graduated, and I just wanted to get away. Mm-hmm. So I went on a journey. I went into Boston, and that's where
Boston.
Oh, I love
Boston. Quincy Market. We just got to go when we went on a cruise, my husband and I recently. But because I'm from Connecticut. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know.
Fellow New Englander.
I lived in Connecticut. I lived in Madison, Connecticut, on the whole town. For a year.
And I ended up in Guilford, so right near Madison. It's so beautiful there. That's where I ended. I was born in Milford.
Wow. Yeah. One of my best friends is from Guilford.
It's gorgeous there. It's gorgeous there. So that's so interesting. And I can understand about your mom a little bit. And my mom, I didn't know till later why things were the way they were in my family as well. But depression, her family comes from a long line of mental health things. But so, yeah, it's really, you don't notice until later, you start to understand later. So, yeah.
When I actually realized that too. So along the way. So I went to Boston. Long story short, I met my ex-husband.
Okay.
And so we dated. Well, then he was moving to Chicago. And I thought, why not? I knew I always wanted to get away. Now, I had started modeling in Boston.
Oh.
You knew that. And
No.
yes.
Tell us about that.
So it was really fun. I actually I was sent to the Bahamas to do a sand retreat.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And so I was paired with another model to do that. I worked on Carson Perry Scott in another, I'm talking about Chicago now. So Boston, it was trying to remember the name of the stores back then. Anyway, I changed. What was it?
The stores changed through the years, so it's hard to
change. So anyway, but I did a lot in Boston, and then I ended up moving to Chicago with my ex-husband. Here and did commercials for about 10 years. And so I ended up going all over. I worked all over the country, and I worked in Japan for about 6 months and worked in Mount Fuji doing a Nissan commercial.
Holy moly, Caryn, that's an exciting life.
Yeah, it was really fun. And you would think that I would have a lot of confidence, wouldn't you?
I was just about to ask you, because I didn't have that confidence when I left home, and I too wanted to leave early for a lot of reasons. Yeah. So you would think modeling teaches you it gives you pose, you're learning how to show up out there. So tell me about that. Did it help?
Sure, it helped a little bit. But what I do now with women is I give them confidence. I guide them on confidence within. So I had the confidence and courage, because I believe we all have courage. We all can take courage, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't always equate to inner worthiness. And so that was very much damaged through starting my mother. And then then I met my ex-husband, who, by the way, I thought was the perfect match. Seriously, Prince Charming.
Get it?
And he was. I mean, he was very charming in the beginning. And he was positive. He had a great job, and he made me feel good. And you know what? I thought it was going to be just a fairy tale kind of a life. Mm-hmm. So I moved to Chicago, and I was modeling for 10 years, like I said. And then what happened was we ended up getting married. That's when things shifted, by the way, a little bit. That's when I started to notice little things, but not really.
Yeah.
And little put downs and little things that he would say. Yeah. And he was very controlling. Mm-hmm. At the time, I guess I needed that. Yes. And I kind of wanted somebody to take the reins.
Yeah, that security and guidance. Yeah.
Exactly. So I was so busy with the kids. I ended up having 2 kids. Wow. And he wasn't there a whole lot because he used to travel, and he was just so engrossed in his business. And he had a good business. I mean, I was grateful for that.
Yeah.
He had a really good business. And so I had my kids, and I went through a little bit of a hurdle. I don't know that I've ever really talked about this before. Mm-hmm. My second child, I was pregnant, and they didn't know what was wrong with me. And to a point where they kept trying to do all these tests and couldn't figure it out. Finally, I went in the hospital. They observed me, and I was having headaches and a stomach ache. Mm-hmm. And the doctor sent me home because they still didn't find anything. And he said, I want you to see a psychiatrist, and I want you to see a stomach doctor. Well, wow. I chose to see the psychiatrist. And anyway, long story short, I went in for an MRI. The doctor looked at me and said, where are you feeling at first? And I said, in my stomach. He said, I want you in an MRI. I came out of the MRI. I could barely drive there. And I did it on my own. And I was hanging over the side. And I came out, and I had a massive brain tumor.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that was my sort of first encounter.
That's a traumatic thing to go through, Caryn. Like to have that experience.
Yeah, it really
the baby's okay, and the baby was okay.
Well, the baby was okay, but they had to operate. And so, and he operated that night because he told me I had days, maybe weeks. And luckily he was there to operate.
Yes.
And I never, ever thought that the baby was not going to survive. I had such grounded faith, Georgette. I don't know where it came from, but I was relieved. I was actually relieved when they said I had a brain tumor, because I was like, great, get rid of it. Just do something. And anyway, so I went through that. And so that was an ordeal. And my baby was born. He's my miracle baby. And, so that kind of kept me going, right? I mean,
that's beautiful. One thing, Caryn, so you're in a marriage, you're navigating what marriage takes, and then you're a mama, and you're pregnant with your second, and then just the timing of things. And then the fact that you said, yes, I'll go, first off, we have to pay attention when things are bothering us. And even if the doctors don't find it right away, you don't give up. You trust your instinct. You trust what you're feeling, your intuitiveness. This was a life or death situation, not just for you, but for your son. And then, wow. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So thank you. So it was a lot. And I realized that, and interestingly, one of the things that the doctor had told me, I said, why do you think this happened? Now, this was back in 1988 that I had my son. And this is before they knew a lot of things. And so he said, well, I think it has a lot to do with the chemicals in the food. So I know this is the little, but that was what
the truth.
Georgette. Yes. Oh, it's
and
totally
this is before all this stuff and before the education that's out now. So true. The chemical, and now they have all the research to back that up. But the fact that the doctor said a truth like that, whoa.
That was incredible. And that sort of, when the opportunity came up for me, well, now I've got my 2 kids and and I wanted to be home with them. But I did want to work part-time as well. So I always loved swimming. And so I started swimming, and then I got into water aerobics.
Oh my goodness, that's great.
Yeah. And you know what? I worked at the Y in Northbrook outside of Chicago.
Okay.
And that's where Michael Jordan was there with his
really
son. And so my son ended up playing with his son. Yes, it's kind of cool.
I think that is cool. So you're in the same swim area as Michael Jordan, where he's training, and your son knew his son. Like they just, how cool. That is cool. I love stuff like that.
Yes. And so, they play basketball. I mean, they weren't friends, but they played basketball together. So I did that, and that went on for about 25 years. I taught all over in Chicago. And then we moved from Chicago. And of course I was doing the modeling then. And then we moved from Chicago back to Maine, because I wanted to be closer to my family, which was about southern Maine. So we were right outside of Portland.
Okay.
And I thought it was going to be a beautiful spot, and it was, because my kids, I want my kids
Portland's pretty,
the ocean and the mountains, because I loved skiing and I loved outdoor sports. I always had.
Yeah.
So it was at that point I was teaching water aerobics, and I went back to school for personal training.
Okay.
And so I got into personal training. Oh, just to back up, in Chicago, I also went to the Harrington Institute of Interior Design, and I was a designer for a while until
gosh. I read all of those books because Architectural Digest was something that was my vision board for a lot of years, enough to the point, well, if you ask Scott, my husband, the story about when we first got married and he's moving me out of my apartment, I had all the magazines in a trash can because that was the only piece of furniture left. I had no more boxes, but I collected the magazines. he thought it was trash and put it in the dumpster. And then out of everything in the truck, the moving truck, I said, I'm visual like this. I'm like, I don't see my magazines. Where's my magazines? And he said, what magazines? I said, they were in the white trash can. And he goes, oh, they're in the garbage. And I go, oh no. And he had to go, because they were my collection. Oh my God. And I have all these designer books. So God bless. All right. Wow. How fascinating is this, Caryn? So I want to know what made you go into personal training. Was it after because you went through the health thing, the health challenge and the scared thing? And then designer, how did that come up?
So actually, that came up just because, and I, like you, I didn't look at the magazines, but I would watch the show. There was some decorating show.
Yeah.
And so I was glued to it. And I just loved what they were doing with homes. Yeah. It just fascinated me. So now that's something else that my ex-husband poo-pooed. He would make fun of me for watching those shows. So another thing, so then I got into the personal training. I've always been an athlete. So I excelled in high school, and then I went on to, I didn't play in college. I went on and I did a regional team. And so, And so I just have always, that's always been a big part of me. And so I wanted, and that's when I started helping others to just inspire them that I would love to do, and just to, kind of coach them through, what you can do to get yourself in a place where you feel good. Now, I didn't know any of the mind stuff, Georgette, and I always knew there was something more, but I was kind of doing it anyway because I always would make them feel good. And of course, you feel good when you work out too.
Absolutely.
And so, and I built a gym in our home, and a lot of people would come to my home. We had a whole wall of mirrors, equipment, and my son was a football player, so he would use the weights downstairs, and so it was pretty cool. And
what a great setup! What an awesome setup that is.
It was really nice.
I reached out to personal trainers here and there throughout my life, and then later coaches, because when you always look in the mirror, and I was so beautiful. I am beautiful.
All right.
I was beautiful. But what I saw back in the day when I looked in the mirror was this fat girl. And that is like so sad to me now. And this is why my heart is the way it is for others, because, whoa, how sad, like tragic to walk through life with that mindset and belief about yourself. So personal training was an aha moment for me. So what you're doing with people is a life-changing thing, and it's gorgeous. So I love that. So you're working with people as a personal trainer, and this is stepping stone.
So thank you. And then I got into the nutrition piece, and this really, because that went hand in hand.
Yes.
And actually my aunt introduced it to me, and I heard her results. And when I heard her results, it was a direct selling. I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, I have to do this. And so I did that, and I spearheaded a huge organization in Maine, right out in Portland. We actually in Portland, and we had distributors all in Singapore, all over the world. And so it was really incredible.
Fascinating.
And now what happened was, so just to give you an example, we used to have trainings back then, like Tuesday nights and then Saturday mornings for our distributors, and then for the public on Tuesday. Well, so this is just an example. My ex-husband used to say to me, oh, there she goes again, deserting the family. So like that, he would...
So little things that are starting to add up in your spirit, because healthy partners support each other's dreams. And when you're insecure, like I came from the first marriage too, there's a story. Yeah, you're not really ready. It takes a while. So I can see that there's a few times this is starting to build up in your mind about these comments.
Exactly. And then, of course, I didn't even find out until after actually, I did know during my whole Relive career. Like, he did that the whole time because he didn't want me doing it, because it was taking me away, he thought.
And you're happy, though. I think
I was happy, Georgette. I need that in my spirit. So
doing your call and your purpose brings the joy. And if you don't realize it, then you don't have the joy.
Amen.
Some people, if they're not happy with themselves, they feel threatened when someone's found their thing and they're joyful and they're inside.
What happened? Exactly. He didn't want himself because he couldn't feel that.
Yeah.
And so he really poo-pooed the whole thing. And that's why I do work with women now too, for their passion and their purpose, because I know how important that spirit is. So I did that. And then I ended up, it was probably for about 10 years, I was at probably the lowest point of my life. And I was in Maine, and Georgette, I didn't think there was light at the end of the tunnel. I would walk my dog. Thank goodness for her. It would got me out of the house. And
our animal.
went to the park. I know. I love her. I loved her.
That's cute.
And and I would just cry. I would sit on this rock and just bawl my eyes out.
Yeah.
And just dream. I would just imagine a life with someone who actually loved me, who was unconditional, and that didn't yell at me all the time and put me down. Now, you know what? So anyway, that was something that I just, I had this feeling, and it just kept compounding over those next 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it wasn't until somebody mentioned something to me that made me start looking things up on my computer. Now, maybe I wasn't ready. I don't know, because it's not like I didn't have signs for it.
Yeah.
I looked up that what he had was actually a thing. Like it was a label, because through this all, I was gaslighted. And so I thought it was normal.
Right.
Now, when I started looking things up about
you got the name to go with the thing. And so it gave validated. I can't say that word. It brought the truth. It revealed truth of what you were going through. It put a name on it, so it was valid.
Yes, exactly. So once I heard that, I decided, I knew at that point that was my turning point where I'm out of here. And that's when I decided that I was going to have to figure out a way to leave. And it wasn't the easiest thing in the world, but that's exactly what I did. And I was just so grateful. And another thing, to get back to another point, I had looked a lot of things up on the internet and in articles too, from magazines, cut out all these things. And what I discovered was that if you are still in a marriage like that, to look at your parents. And one
generational stuff repeat.
Right? Yeah. One or
good or bad. The healthy patterns. Right. And you don't even know why you are the way you are until. Yes, exactly.
So fast forward to I left. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm free. And I'm sorry, I'm not saying I'm not condoning. I'm just saying that for me, I didn't have my spirit.
It was emotional abuse, and there's some abandonment there. So I also don't, I understand the pains of divorce too, and I don't ever recommend it for anyone unless, there is, adultery, abandonment, and some other things, sometimes for your own livelihood and safety. Yeah, that's a tough call, and you took your time. And you were praying about it, you were thinking about it, and you were researching, and honestly, intuitively, information's coming to you. So you were being guided as you were growing and healing. It comes to you, and you were following the steps. And sometimes you have to let things go, especially if they were made during a time in your life where you're not aware of everything.
That's right.
And some things live and thrive, and some things will not live if it's not meant to continue.
Yeah. And I think you hit a point sometimes where you just know, like you know, and it's time. Okay, let's just take action. And so I did. And then interestingly, I had meditated. I had started meditating because I had started getting into some spiritual stuff.
Yeah.
I
love spiritual.
No, it's incredible. And so I meditated and life coach came up. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this would be incredible. So that's when I pursued. I went and got my certificate. And I also just found out a lot about other things that I could do. I went to a Tony Robbins event, actually.
Love Tony Robbins. You got to go to an event, girl. I read his books and follow him, and I have done his virtual events, but I haven't gone to an in-person. I follow all those people in that arena because that's the arena I'm hoping to step into. It's actually, I'm on that path, but life-changing. So tell me about that event.
So it's incredible. So actually, I have to tell you, my very first spiritual event was with Harv Ecker. I don't even know if you know who he is.
No.
He's a spiritual leader, and I started, that opened me up to the path. He wrote the Millionaire Mind, and which I read.
I'm writing this down. Millionaire Mind. And what was his name, Caryn?
Harv Ecker.
Harv Ecker.
He actually doesn't speak in person anymore. I was blessed to be able to see him. I think his son is speaking now, or someone else. But I saw him in Toronto. I just booked that trip by myself. And honestly, I couldn't even tell my ex-husband where I was going because he wouldn't let me go. So this was back in Maine when I did this. And so anyway, he was the one that kind of opened my eyes and into a lot of this stuff. Yeah. And then, and what I did there was I had my first fire walk.
The Tony Robbins event.
No.
Oh, no? He didn't?
Have a load of this. My second and third, I did it twice with Tony Robbins.
Oh, wow.
Ecker, Georgette, it was even bigger. It was long. It was 32 feet, the fire walk at Harv Ecker. This was at 10 o'clock at night. It was incredible. And we didn't know where we were going. We were like,
oh my gosh.
I had no idea.
Oh my gosh. I always wondered how people, I know it's a mind thing, because that's what we struggle with. Like for me, I don't know if you've ever done the jump box at a gym. To me, that's a mind thing.
Oh, yes.
This box is so huge in front of you. Right. And you think, how can I jump up on that from this position? But you can, and you do. That was my little mini fire. I haven't done a firewall. So what an experience. That is your change.
It did teach me mindset, because I knew that, I mean, people had their feet burned at the end. I mean, I'm not going to, they were actually like, they really hurt them. And that's when I started learning, oh my gosh, there's really something to this mindset. It's like incredible. Like it really works.
You did it. Oh my goodness.
And I did it. And so I did it again at Tony Robbins. And he was actually the one, Georgette, who introduced me. I saw him changing lives right in front of me. And I found out what he was doing to do that. I saw him take this woman who was totally depressed and turn her around. And he was using this technique called NLP, Neurolinguistic Programming.
Yeah, I read about that. Yeah.
And that's what got me started on it. And so I looked up where I could learn about it. And I found out that Richard Bandler was one of the founders. And so I studied with him.
Excellent.
That's how I got into that
journey, Caryn. It's so exciting. See how this is why, just if you have one thought that you're excited about something or interested, take it, do it, follow it, get the book, take a class, go somewhere, anything you could do to research what that thought is for you, because then it leads to the next and the next and the next. And then your life starts to open up and unfold before you. And then you find your thing, your passion. So I'm so excited for you. So you're taking the courage and you're learning, you're doing these trips and learning and taking this knowledge, and it's exciting you because you're on the right path. Like this is meant for you.
Exactly. And
follow the spark.
Follow the spark. And that was actually in answer to one of your questions. What would I, say to somebody is to follow that nudge and follow the nudge, but take that a step further and take action. Like you were saying, take that action. because you are the one that knows the best. And the thing is, when you can go within and you can build that confidence and your authenticity, who you really are, don't be afraid of that. That's what I help women to do.
Love it.
To find that, it is to be aware of it. It's not find it, because it's there.
It's there. And everyone's different. It's there in us. This gem, I call it the jewel, the gem within. It's the essence of us. And we don't always know that it's buried. And that's why there's layers have to be stripped of healing our mind and our emotions. Everyone's journey is different. So, and then it's uncovering it all. And this is happening in live time as you're being a mom with 2 kids and you're figuring out that you're going to be needing to make some hard decisions. Sometimes we have to make hard decisions and let go of some things or relationships that are unhealthy or toxic.
And it makes us better. It makes us a better person. I would have been so miserable if I put it this way. I wouldn't be flourishing the way that I am. I wouldn't be able to. I felt just stifled with the real me, and so my authenticity. And so now I'm able to do that and help women to do that as well. And I work with men too. But that's where I am today, is on this path. And
so when did you come to Florida? So you were in Maine, you were in Portland, Maine. When did you decide to come to Florida?
Came about 2000, maybe 10 or 11, I came. So it's been a long time. I can't believe I've been here that long. And so I actually moved into a home with my ex-husband. And it was probably about a year later that I ended up leaving. And so, you know what? I guess this was my destiny, because I love Florida.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I love the lifestyle, because the fact that I can go out and walk, I used to be a runner, but I can go out and walk anytime that I want and be outside and enjoy the sunshine and nature. I just love it.
I love it. I learned the sunshine. Because I struggled with depression too. Like that was something. And the long seasons, the winter seasons just were too much. So the sunshine was part of why God rescued me, brought me to Florida. That was part of it. You're in sunshine like most times out of the year, and you get to be outside, and that's healthy for our emotions. And the beach, the ocean side was my go-to place. So I was at the ocean side every weekend. What a beautiful thing. So you're slowly, you're adding on to your credentials. You're taking classes and getting licensed, right? You're a licensed coach.
So I got a lot of different, I became a certified speaker, and I'm constantly, that's in progress. And then I think I did it right before 2020, COVID. And so now I want to get more into speaking, because that's something that is my real passion. And then I got the NLP, and gosh, I mean, I did a lot of different things. I wrote a chapter in a book, and I just did I took a lot of other classes as well, and studying with a lot of the masters. I studied with Bob Proctor, Mindset, and
that name, yes.
Oh my gosh, that was absolutely incredible. And so many other people, and Mary Morrissey, and there's just so many leaders that I have been with and learned so much. And I am so grateful, and just love that I can take all of that knowledge and my experiences and use my wisdom. And I'll tell you, the biggest source for me is God. That's the source, because that's where I get right. That's where we get our wisdom.
Yeah, that's the core of me. So, you know why, Caryn? Well, first off, each of us have a different journey of why that comes to us. But as a little girl, I always believed in God, and I talked to him. And we started off as Catholics, and then my parents found a Protestant church. And so the faith churches were a thing back then. And so we went, I became born again, I call it, when my parents went through a divorce and separation. And so it was that moment in all of our family's lives. And I went up to the altar during a vacation Bible camp, and I received Jesus. And then actually my mom was always loved God. She was a Christian. She believed. And she came back to Jesus, and then my dad found Jesus, and they got remarried. So to me, that was part of what saved my family unit. But later, when God answered a rescue call from my closet, someone heard me. I was just used to talking to God and trying to follow God, but I didn't know it was a two-way thing. And then someone heard my cries, and all of a sudden, like, I didn't know it right away, but he intervened, and I knew unconditional love for the very first time, because I had, the home I'd come from, they did their best, but it was like a little critical, and you didn't know, and there was a lot of judgy and a lot of stuff. So I'm sorry, but for me, someone showed up, and that was spirit. I was God and love, like love. And then all the things he did that I talk about in my book, which I forgot to mention at the beginning of the show, but Junk to Jules will mention at the end of the show.
Awesome. I'm so happy for you putting that on.
We each are called to share, and you're sharing your gifts, and I'm in mine in my way. We'll have to collaborate on doing events, because I too am looking for speaking opportunities that talk about this. And you're
absolutely
similar in a way, because it is healing. It's a holistic approach. So
right, exactly.
Oh my goodness.
I just have to say that for people who didn't have the fortunate, exposure to the church like you did. I went to church, but you know what? It was never talked about in my home, and they never really said anything about it. My ex-husband was not a believer at all, so I couldn't even bring my kids up in the church.
Oh,
so
wow.
It didn't happen until later in life. And and I'm going to tell you, it didn't even happen until I was 60 years old.
That's so beautiful. It's never too late.
I want everyone to know here, it is never too late to change your path, to believe, start believing, and just be, just embrace that authentic you.
I love it.
I was married for 36 years.
You were what?
Married for 36 years. I knew my husband for 40 years.
In that marriage?
In that marriage. I knew him for 40 years. I was a baby. Wow. Yes. So I was molded.
Yeah.
And for me,
that makes it even harder.
Yeah. Yeah.
To step away, understanding that something inside of you is dying little by little by little.
Exactly.
That's a big decision.
And part of what I do, just to let tell your viewers, the NLP is changing those beliefs that you're brought up with. That I don't matter. Wearing a mask, that I'm not enough, and all those things. So it's changing those and rewiring, I call it, because it's formulating differently, so it lands in your subconscious, and because that's where we operate from.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Caryn, this is beautiful and amazing. We're going to go to I always ask my guests some questions that I've gleaned from other folks that I follow and value and appreciate. What is your favorite book and why? Because we learn more about you when you share that.
Yeah. So for me, I have just been fascinated by the self-development books. And so mindset was a big part of what I do. So a couple of different things. My very first book was The Power of Now. And so it is all about the present moment, because getting present is you. Getting present is from your soul. Yes. And not being in that monkey mind. Busy stuff going on. And so that was, but another one was The Biology of Belief, and that was Bruce Lipton. And that's where I learned that reality is whatever you're thinking now. It's whatever you're thinking, and you can change anything.
We can change our thoughts.
We can change by changing those thoughts because it does become your reality. That is what is happening when you believe it in your mind. So it's looking at on the screen of your mind, focus on what you want and try to hold it in the screen of your mind for as long as you can, even 30 seconds. And it's going to change your life.
That is the truth. And that is powerful. Wow. Reality, it is the thing. Our thoughts are the reality. And the most important thing is once you understand that, you can change those thoughts. And I'm in working That's something I work on too. It's a process, and every day we approach it. Now, if you could meet someone from the past or present to sit down, have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine, whatever the preference is, who would it be and why?
So I was thinking, I think that it would be my dad. And so even though my mother was very critical and she, we were at odds all the time, he was the one that was always there for me. And when she kicked me out of the house, he said, this house is as much yours as it is mine. And he was very positive. I think that's where I get my positivity from.
Yeah.
Always positive. And for someone to be like that, in 1955, he contracted polio.
Oh my goodness.
He ended up having an arm and a leg that really doesn't work that well. So I went through my life thinking he was normal. He never, ever said one word. And I admired this so much. And he was in the war before that. I would love to find out about World War II and, just more about his stories, how he felt from that polio. And then he had got post-polio later. And so he was in a wheelchair, but he never complained. And he took us skiing. He had no shoe on the bottom. He was the athlete in the family. And he never complained. So anyway, I just really admire that. So I would love to find.
That's a legacy. He lived out for you and left. Like, that's a huge legacy. That is strong. Yeah.
Feel his energy.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Now, did you have a mentor in your life at all and during any of that journey that like really sticks out to you now that they made a difference just by maybe one interaction, one word, or the relationship? Is there someone that you would say, wow, this person comes to mind?
Well, I have to go back to the Tony Robbins and the Harv Ecker. Those were the ones who just made the biggest impact on me. So all the coaches I've ever had, if you're listening, you all have made an impact. Honestly, every single one of them have done something just a little bit more, right?
I agree. No, sometimes it's not just one. It's a whole. That's why we need community. That's why I talk about it so much. Community is crucial to our beauty, our becoming. I too had different coaches along the way and counselors, and every single one added something very important. Without their part, I couldn't go to the next part. So what you're saying is very true indeed. And that's that. So, Caryn, if you could say something to your younger self or someone who's in a similar life experience as you, what would you say?
So I think we've already alluded to it and you've spoken already so, eloquently about it, following your nudge and just taking that action and really pursuing you. Stop listening to anybody else. Stop listening to their opinions. It doesn't matter. You matter. You matter, and follow what's inside. If you haven't read the book, The Alchemist, I would recommend reading.
Good book. Good book. Oh, Caryn, thank you so much. This was so much fun. And I love learning more about you in this way. I want to encourage everyone who's watching or listening. Caryn can be found on the internet. She has a website, neversettlelifecoaching.com, neversettlelifecoaching.com. And that's a motto, people. Don't settle. Don't ever settle. So neversettlelifecoaching.com. You can find her on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn as well. So go to her website, follow her. And definitely, if you want to work with Caryn, she is available. So contact her on her website. Caryn, thank you so much for coming. And just the last plug for myself, too. The Junk to Jewels book is found on Amazon, A Journey from Brokenness and Despair to Beauty and Delight. Because listen, and I'm a late bloomer in a lot of ways. And your blossoming is very special, and it's a process, and you start where you are. You start right where you are. So if you're listening, no matter where you are in life, take that first step. Find a coach. Reach out to Caryn. Find someone near you, a personal trainer, coach, counseling, whichever that first step is. Get your support system in place and start learning about yourself, because it's never too late to know who you are and to be your very best. And your giftedness is in your heart. But Caryn, thank you again. Thank you so much.
Do it.